Afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. 1 second, we'll get started here. As you can tell, I once again ran out of time, but I have some nice articles and videos and such to discuss, and we'll get started after I do a sound check. There it is. Then we'll open up chat to make sure you guys can talk back. All right, and I can talk back to you. That's not blocked. And what is today's cover? Oh, Zachary's here. Hello, Zachary. I see you on YouTube. There it is. I see you on YouTube, but not in the stream. There we go. And then click here. Look at today's photo. Today's a photo of my friend Brandon's Rivian. Simple as that. How do I get back into the stream? Put it forward. Click. Okay, that's the click. And it says excellent health. So let's keep going. Let's start out with this thing I just found on the web this morning while getting ready for the show. Except getting ready for the show. We've got this video here. Share screen. And this one. So the poster says that he witnessed and recorded the most insane car crash yesterday, and you can see autopilot swerve and avoid the road tire. Let's see. And then, of course, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, that's nothing special. Anybody could have missed that tire." Not everybody, as you'll see in the video. So let's share this, and then get into Blogger Reacts view. And that's this button here. Let me make this bigger. Take a look. I've never seen anything like that before. So let's evaluate his claims of autopilot swerving. Done something a little more aggressive there, not a little wiggle. And speaking of autopilot, I got 2 FSD updates since we last spoke. I got the FSD beta 11. Well, since we last spoke here on the show, not since we last spoke, period, because I was over on the Tesla Live show and I had just got the FSD beta 11, and then they had another update to that yesterday morning, and that one was much better. Like the other one was good. Like what they did with this one was basically they got rid of the old navigate on autopilot. They didn't get rid of it, but they if you're in FSD mode, they turn that off, and now FSD handles it all. I say it that way because when I first got the update, and I turned off the or first got the update, put it in destination, said, "All right, let's go," and then it was cruise controlling. It wasn't going where I wanted it to go. And then we got to a red light and wanted to stop for the red light. Like, okay, that part's normal, but the light turned green and it's chiming at me. Like, no, we haven't done green light chime in years, bro. What's up with this? So what turned out to happen was FSD had turned itself off, just like it did the day or 2 before I got the update. My FSD had turned itself off, almost as if I had got strikes and was kicked out, except that I had 0 strikes, and it was simple as making sure the car was in park, and I could go back in and turn on FSD again. And then after it switched over to beta 11, it did that one time, and each time I've had to turn on beta 11, it's got less aggressive. So it starts out at assertive, and then, or I had it on assertive on 10.69. whatever, and then after the update, it moved itself to the middle, like average, normal, whatever they call it. And then after it turned off FSD and I turned it back on again, it was down at the lowest setting, which is not aggressive enough for anything but population. So I turned it back up to assertive, and it seems fine on that. Some folks have said that for them that the assertive is a little too aggressive on the new version. So I was thinking that perhaps they had moved everybody to the middle when they got rid of the fixed offset. So my car used to be set for 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, and they don't offer that anymore on FSD beta. So what they've done is they converted that to 8%, which is fine if the speed limit is 60, and only if the speed limit is 60. So on the highway, it wants to go too darn fast, and on city streets, it wants to go too slow. We're talking 1 or 2 miles an hour offset, and so you've got jerks around you trying to run up your tail and flashing you symbols and honking the horn and giving you exams to the rear of your car, that sort of thing. So I'd say that I absolutely hate the percent offset just as much as I did when they first put it in there. I tried it for a couple days, did not like it, turned it back off to absolute, and now it's another one of those cases. It seems like where Elon knows best, and oh, I don't need waypoints, so why would you want waypoints? What's wrong with you? Oh, alternate routes. What's wrong with the route that we picked for you in the car? Let's just do it my way. Oh, lumbar. You found a spot you like and it's good. All right, your next car doesn't need lumbar. No, 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 no. That's not how data works, buddy. However, he does do some other stuff right. So it's just that like that's just one of those decisions. Like I'm going to decide for everybody. Like who could possibly want this? You're crazy. I'm not crazy. I might not think the way you do. That's for sure. So anyway, let's continue on about that. The maneuvers it makes on the highway are much more smooth. And for example, if you've ever had the case where the car is starting a lane change on the highway, and then something spooks it or it changes its mind or whatever, and it wants to go back to the original lane, and so you get like jerk you back, like an aggressive motion. Uh, I had one of those yesterday. It wasn't. I mean, it was a case where the car wanted to abort the lane change, but instead of just yanking the whole car back and forth, it did the way a human would do, like, oh, let me go back over here, and it wasn't like weren't a whole lot of G's in either direction. It was just a curving maneuver. Getting on and off the highway is much smoother. It still has that bad habit of trying to use the entire on ramp or off ramp, which in a city with street sweeping and all that sort of thing is fine. But if you're in a place like Charleston, South Carolina, that the roads look like this all the time. Actually, they more look uh, like about half as bad as this is how the roads in Charleston often look. There you go. Yeah, so that the shoulder will look like that a lot of times, and sometimes the road will look like this. But anyway, using the whole lane is not advisable because since nobody else does, all of that is just waiting for you. And oh shoot, I'm showing you something on the screen you can't even see. Uh, so that's funny over here. That's what our shoulders often look like. And then sometimes you get debris in the road. So what else is new with FSD beta that I like? Auto park is consistently back, and it works. It's still slower than a human, but it doesn't feel as slow as it used to feel. And the kind of corrections it makes when somebody is parked like poop next to you. Uh, like I had one guy parked kind of on the line, like his tire was on his side of the line, but it was on the line, and his mirrors were in my side. And the way the car maneuvered around, like the wheel motions were still did that thing where it kind of pulls forward and pauses and thinks about life and then spins the wheel and spins the wheel. But like as it was coming in, it was correcting on the fly. It's not there yet, but it's getting better. What else can I say about? I haven't tried Smart Summon yet. I need to find a parking lot that's not full of uh, definitely impatient people, but people that seem to all be on their way to the ER. Uh, that's how urgent they are. Um, what I might do is just go to a business park that's closed and doesn't have a gate, and then try to smart someone there. I probably should bring the cameras, but I won't because I just won't. So I think that's what I'll do. After this, sorry, somebody with a loud engine. After this, what I might do is I'll just go out and go to business park and then try to smart something in the car. See how it behaves. The issue where the car tries to get in the wrong lane, it's still there. Like where you're in the city, and you need to make a left coming up. The car will get in the right hand lane, and then they'll get in the right turn lane, and then it'll realize it has to make a left turn. Brilliant, fun times. Same goes for if you need to make a left turn or let's say left turn. If you need to make a right, it'll either get into the passing lane or the left turn lane, and hilarity ensues. But I'm wondering if that's just not something they were focused on since they were trying to get the highway stack integrated. And the highway seems fine. I've seen videos of other people's cars where it tries to like just kind of like pass a whole lane and people merge again and then merges. What I found is typically the opposite. Mine still does more human-like and more like Navigate on Autopilot did, where you've got a turn coming up and it wants to get in the lane early to the point where if it's behind somebody who it would normally pass, it'll just sit there being slow and then get off the road. So I don't know if that's a matter of I haven't given mine enough highway driving or what the case is, but in this video I'm referring to, the guy had a bunch of people queuing up for the exit, and his car just went straight by. It kept going towards the exit, but not in the turning lane, or not in where it could get to the exit. And it kept marking cars that it was trying to get in front of. And then it found a semi truck, and it marked that, and it got in front of it, and then it got immediately off the exit, like you might have seen some drivers do when they're being impatient and didn't want to wait on the rush hour exit from the freeway. Good evening, Anders. How's it going for you? The So what I would say is that FSC beta definitely improved, but it's not ready for everyday Joe Blow, because you still got to watch it, and it still does the wrong move sometimes. I haven't had to try to get on the wrong side of traffic or anything just inherently dangerous yet, but it doesn't feel like any of the stuff in the city has changed all that much. When you look at the change log, let's go to it. Let's open a window and go to it. Loading up. Updates. FSC beta 11.3.3. Yeah, that's the one I'm on. And I'll share this out instead. So I'm not going to read it all to you. I'm just going to point out some of the stuff they said. Oh, this is something I do like. It's harder to see on Model X Legacy. They have these little chevrons that tell you when the car is slowing down, and on all the cars in big bold text at the top of the screen, either the small screen or your only screen, depending on what you have, it'll say stopping for stoplight, changing lanes for whichever reason, uh, traffic is slowing, so I'm slowing, yielding at intersection, that sort of thing. And you don't have to mind read what the car is doing. The creeping functionality, it doesn't feel that much different with the creep, where when it wants to peek around a corner because it can't see because of a bush or a building or large lifted pickup truck to your left, or to your right in the case of the UK and other right-hand drive countries. It I still feel it puts the nose too far out into the street. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that other than camera replacement or more confidence in the software. All right, so let's go. We talked about the chevrons. It also does a better job of highlighting what it's responding to. So you've got the blue cars are cars that it was paying attention to previously, cars that it was basing its control on. Then you had the light gray cars, which were of interest, and then you had these dark gray cars, which it was aware of but not doing anything with. But now the traffic lights and the stop signs and all of them, they turn blue as well when the car is queuing up for their control. And speed bumps. The two of them that I encountered in the software, the car slowed for them. The first one, I don't know if it was a fluke or not. The second one, it was definitely because there was a car in front of us that it slowed for them. I'll have to take more time and pass more speed bumps to know on that. Right, so I think we talked about these before they actually hit, so there's not much to say, but we'll see if any of them are things I've experienced. So the cut-in cases, that's easy to do here in Charleston or anywhere in South Carolina, really. People just cut in, and I don't know that you could feel 15%, but it seems to handle them appropriately. Doesn't really seem to slam on the brakes unless they literally cut in front of you. Yes, the wide lane behavior is much improved. I haven't passed too many exits that it in the slow lane that it wanted to. How do I say it? I've spent most of the time in an interior lane, like in the middle. But the few times I was on the right, I didn't notice it trying to use the whole lane each time. But what I did notice is on residential streets that were not marked or not marked well, like the last time they were painted was like 15, 30 years ago, it doesn't try to use the whole neighborhood street anymore. In the past, it would try to use the whole neighborhood street unless there was oncoming traffic. Then it wouldn't really move over to its side. It would just give them room, like enough room for them to do their thing, which is not right. So what I'm finding now is that it tends to stay on the correct side of the road in neighborhoods and other narrower roads with no markings or no discernible markings. And I'll let you know later if I notice it still doing any more jogging to the exit lane or on ramps. Really, the off ramps typically dashed out, but the on ramps are not always dashed out. Let's see, high curvature of large trucks. So high curvature, it definitely does better on roads that kind of serpentine a little bit, not necessarily back and forth, but just that kind of a aggressive turn. There's one of those to get into this hotel, and I feel more comfortable with it. Like I don't feel like I need to adjust the speed downward. Previously, I would set it to the speed limit or lower on that turn, just the way it felt, and now it doesn't feel bad, even with its 8% offset, which is only like say the road is 40, it's only like 43 or 42. Hello, Moto. How was your nap? You had a good nap? Yeah. You want to go on the show? We got our little headphones this time. All right, let me plug these in for you. Uh-oh, they came off. There you go. Want to say hi to everybody? Say hello, Moto. You thinking about it? No, you're not thinking about it? That's fine. Let's see. Anders says, I think there are a lot of people who drive carelessly in the US. However, I think it depends a lot on seeing a lot of this stuff on YouTube. Oh man, there's a couple channels I follow on YouTube of just terrible drivers. And I'd say it actually has improved my ability to spot people who are going to do something foolish on the road, just because you can find extra ways that people mess up that you don't necessarily encounter in your day-to-day driving. Hey, look, Andrew says hello. Oh, you done with your headphones? She doesn't like stuff on her head, so if she can't hear anything on the headphones, she kind of wants to take them off. But these fit you better than the other ones. You were using my old ones before. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Improve behavior for path blockage, lane changes, and dense traffic. Will now maintain more headway in blocked lanes. I haven't really come across too much blocked traffic. What I have found is it still wants to pass people who are just dealing with slow traffic. So say you're next in line at a turn or a stop sign, it still thinks about, like, you feel it twitch in the wheel. It still thinks about passing them, and other times it still tries. It's not as aggressive as it used to be, but you still have to be ready to just tap the brake or hit the cancel switch. And that feels like something that they will get within the next couple of versions, to the point where it'll be rare that you'll be saying, "Well, what's going on here?" All right, let's see what's next. Improve lane changes in dense traffic scenarios by allowing higher acceleration during the alignment phase. So that I found. I'm not sure if I've found it exactly, but when it is changing lanes, it's not as timid about it. Like, just like if we all decided to change lanes and we'd committed to it, we'll accelerate, decelerate, whatever we have to do to complete the lane change, and it's not as passive anymore in that regard. So, like, I've seen it let one or two cars by, but it doesn't let a whole Congo line just go by you when you turn the signal on. If somebody's pinned you in at a lower speed and you want to pass, it will speed up as much as it can with the person in front of you, and then as soon as it sees an opening, a safe opening, it'll jump out, and then it'll continue to accelerate rather than waiting for 20 cars to pass you and then finally getting over. Eddie says, "I don't think I'll ever acclimate to all this AI driving stuff." Don't forget, Eddie, though, I've been doing this for what, 7 years now, so it wasn't all at once either for me. They phased everything in one step at a time. So first I had the ability for it to kill the cruise control if somebody uh, got too close, and that was on the Volt. And then I don't know, did my Volt? I don't think my Volt ever did have pacing. It had the auto lane keep, like, not one that bounces off the lanes, but like if I left the lane, it would be. And then we had the Model S, which it didn't start out as capable as AP1 did either when I got it. It had cruise control. It had the what we call TAC, the traffic aware cruise control. It did that fine, and then very shortly after I got it, they added in the ability for it to stay in the lane on the highway and then anywhere. Like, it didn't differentiate from the highway for much. And then when I got my Model X, it actually didn't have all the same capabilities as my Model S did. It wasn't. I wasn't early on the Model X, so it wasn't like I didn't have cruise control. And I didn't have the lane keep like some of the early folks did. Mine just wouldn't lane change when I got it, and then it wouldn't lane change unless it was on the highway, and then they fixed that, and then all of a sudden, then they had Navigate on autopilot, and then the FSD betas came. So I didn't jump all the way in. I was eased into it, so I can understand how it would be somewhat overwhelming to get all this at once. Like, get your next car, and oh my goodness, what the heck? I have no control. What's going on? It does sometimes kind of feel that way if you skip I skipped an update once. I was like, well, what's it doing now? And now you get used to it. And then, like in the cases where the Model S was in the shop after it was rammed by that semi truck, and you're driving a regular car, you feel less safe actually because you don't have a wingman watching your back. Well, not that the Model S had 8 eyes; it didn't, because it only had the two, and only one of them was in control of the computer. But even that one camera felt like I was less safe in the BMW that they put me in and in the Volt. Well, the Volt had one camera, but all it was doing was looking for forward collisions, and if I was leaving the lanes. Yeah. Speaking of forward collision and leaving the lanes, in the new FSD beta, if you adjust the following distance on the older cars that still have stocks, if you try to adjust that, what it will do is it'll bring up the aggressiveness of the FSD. So instead of being 1 to 7 or 2 to 7, really, if you are in a car with vision, which is all the FSD cars, instead of bringing up that following distance, it actually says, "Do you want the mild, aggressive, average, or assertive?" Yeah, you liking your headphones? You folded them up. They're real. They turn smoother. Yep, they did that. Improving accuracy of other vehicles moving. I'd say it feels less like it's got some stuff going on when other cars are moving around you. The text blurb I told you guys about, I like that. Improve back-to-back lane change maneuvers. Yes, they did do that. So we're cheap here, and at least municipally cheap, and we don't always allocate enough budget to make lanes big enough for sequential moves, even when required. And so if you get dumped off on a road and it puts you off on the far side of the road, and you need to get to the other far side of the road to make a turn, the car does a better job of jumping over and handling those sequential movements. Are you trying to jump down, baby? You are. Okay, we'll jump down. There you go. Let's see. Recall and precision of object detection. I don't know about that. I'm not saying they didn't do it. I'm saying I don't know that I can for sure say, hey, yeah, I feel the difference then. Reduce false offsetting around wide objects in wider lanes near intersections. Mostly, yeah. Adjusted the position of the automatic blind spot camera when. Okay, so this is not something that affects non-legacy cars. However, some folks are telling me that even on a non-legacy car like a Plaid X, because you've got the two screens, the ability to move the blind spot is not quite where it is on the 3 and the Y. It's, or at least it was on the previous update to this one. It was kind of fixed in place, and I'm just confused. I understand that this is not a high volume car, but when you got all these people who upgraded and spent the extra money on a Plaid, and you're telling me that mine is legacy, so you can't bother with it, but these folks spent double performance Model 3 to get their Plaid X, and they're still treated like secondary users. It's interesting to me. So I guess if they keep this mindset up, I don't mind. But the current prototype for the Cybertruck is only a single screen, because at least then it'll be just like the 3 and Y, but bigger screen. Okay, so then here they're saying that this does resolve the over-the-air recall for campaign 23 Victor 085 and 2023-063 for Canada. So they improved the decision logic to proceed through or stop at certain yellow lights by modeling decision as a trade-off. I found that it prefers to stop, but again, when somebody's riding your bumper with no proper following distance, I find that I have to nudge the car through so it doesn't get us rear-ended or pushed into an intersection by someone who's not expecting you to stop. But it meets the letter of the recall. Let's see. It considers the acceleration required to stop, time to enter and exit the intersection, and the distance traveled, the distance traversed across the intersection before the light transitions to red, just to make yellow light handling more natural and human-like. Sure, human-like. That's right. Like a regular human, like who is driving instructor human. Let's see. Improve the longitudinal slowdown control profile when leading up to stop sign intersections to make the overall maneuver feel more perceptible and natural. So it doesn't look like stop signs are handled any differently, but as they said, there's a little more jerk. Like you can feel that it's come to a stop, and you can feel that it's starting, and you can feel the the beat in the middle. I'm wondering if Tesla here is saying that they were stopped legally, which they were, even if it's for a microsecond. They're trying to show that yes, it is stopped. It stopped long enough. So get off our tails. That's what that feels like. Let's see. Improve the speed adjustment when entering certain speed zones. So that's something I have noticed. Is it it's very aggressive about bringing the speed down, which is good and accurate. But again, in the town I'm in now, they have plenty of little 5 and 10 mile an hour speed dips and drops for moments. And the person who's riding your bumper doesn't care that the speed limit went from 65 to 55. They want to keep doing 60 or 85, whatever they were trying to do before. And then when your car decides to further slow down, it and those numbers, I guess, probably bad examples because they were on the highway, but uh, a similar level of, like, 10 mile an hour changes on a city street, and the car's no longer just coasting until it runs out of momentum. It's actively regenning down to the new speed, still after the sign instead of before it, which is enough to get you a ticket. So if you see a cop out there next to a sign and it's a speed limit drop, just kick yourself out of autopilot, or push the brake until it regens down. Until not that brakes cause regen, but the brake will disengage autopilot and cruise control. And you want to be doing the speed limit by the time you hit the line across where the sign is supposed to be installed. The reason I say it that way is if the sign has been moved from where it should be, you're still liable to that, and that is just asinine to me. 'Cause if you're traveling from somewhere, how are you supposed to know that the speed limit sign has been moved back 20 feet from where it should be? Insane. Anyway, it's better at that. So at least you pass a sign now instead of just coasting for a mile, or as much of a mile as it can get. It'll start coasting down, or not coasting down. It'll start regenning down to the speed limit right away, like it did on the freeway with navigating autopilot. The behavior for certain scenarios where Tesla may maneuver from the lane, continue traveling straight. So these maneuvers that'll be treated as a lane change where the turn indicator is used to alert other drivers. So this one, there are some intersections that are just poorly done, and as a human or the Tesla, you can't really determine that. Oops, this I wasn't supposed to be there, unless you become accustomed to the place and realize, oh yeah, the traffic engineers were either out of money or uh, on illicit drugs here, and so you pop out of the lane when you realize you've done the thing. But most humans will signal like whoops, I'm getting back. The car would do that too, but apparently it would almost never signal. Like I've seen it signal like maybe once or twice, but usually it would just pop back in the lane. And apparently now it will treat it as a turn, and it will signal, hey, I'm getting out of this lane. This lane change. She's fighting with a packet of wipes. Uh, on that same note, the car still fails to give adequate notice uh, of a perpendicular turn. Like, hey, I'm gonna get in this turn lane. It'll usually do the turn lane like as it's doing it, or if you've got a driveway or parking lot that you're gonna get into, it'll signal, but it needs to do it further out than what it does right now, especially in places where people tailgate prolifically. The visualization improvements, we discussed some of them. And base suspension is unchanged. Okay, so this one is new right here. On cars that don't have the ultrasonic sensors, the Tesla Vision Park Assist is back. And so it will tell you not just, hey, stuff's getting close. It'll tell you down to the inches, just like the ultrasonics do. They'll say, hey, you're 40 inches out. Hey, stop. And then I got into an argument with some folks about, hey, what if something appears while the car is not paying attention? And like, well, you should check it. Yes, you should. But literally, the scenario I gave was you park the car, close the garage, you open the garage, and in the meantime, while you were out, somebody set a bicycle up against the garage of it and laid it down. And now the car is not going to report that anything has changed. Now, anybody normal in my scenario would have gotten out of the car and been coming back in the car. So you probably want to open the door before you get in, do a quick visual inspection, get in the car, and drive off. But even if you don't power the car down, like if you go inside, close the door, spouse says, "Hey, did you pick up XYZ from the grocery store?" You open the door, you go back out, but in that meantime, something has happened, even if it's only been 10 seconds. A lot of people might not get out of the car for that because they're on their private driveway, it's fenced in or whatever, and what's going to pop out there in the meantime? Ultrasonic would see the bike or a tire that rolled out into the from the car or whatever. And the cameras can't. They've got a blind spot. But for me, that's not a real scenario. And I said that as much in our discussion on Twitter because uh, when I get back to my house later this month, not this month, March, but within a month, um, my car doesn't fit in that driveway or doesn't fit in that garage. It did fit in the garage of the townhouse, but that one had windows, so I would have been able to see somebody coming up. Not necessarily though. If it had been like the neighbor's 3-year-old, I wouldn't have seen her toddling about. I would have only seen what the windows had. Hmm. I think it would have been far enough in that we would have been fine, like for her walking, but not for her putting a bike down right in front of the car if the car was up against the door, which thankfully it wasn't. But in my house, the door doesn't close because the car's too long. So anyway, new visualizations and for appropriate cars, which seems to be non-legacy, if you um, have done anything, it'll ask you why did you do that, and so you can push the voice command button and say uh, why you corrected it. Pulled too far into the street, wasn't moving fast enough, wrong lane. I saw a sale on donuts, and so forth. We talked about the messages. Here's what they look like on a Model 3 and Y. Right up at the top, waiting for bicycle. Mine said waiting for pedestrian once or twice. And then this one right here, the minimal lane changes, you can do chill, average, or assertive. And on our legacy cars, if you adjust your following distance at all, 1 click up, 9 clicks up, or 5 clicks up, really. They'll just pop this up on the screen, and you can pick, and it'll pop it up on the main screen, so you can touch, chill, average, or assertive. Minimal lane changes option. Does it reduce? I wonder if this is the old Navigate on Autopilot where you could just turn off auto lane changes. It doesn't turn them off; it just reduces them. Also says I'll do the following. When enabled, full self-driving beta will limit changes to only follow navigation route or when required for safety. This option gets reset when the car is parked at the end of the drive. Okay, so that would help when I was coming down south on the Jersey Turnpike and it kept wanting to change lanes incorrectly. Like not that the maneuver would be wrong, but it kept thinking it was getting out of the passing lane or just it was just depending on what part of the road we were on. Sometimes it thought it was in the passing lane and it wasn't, and other times it just kept trying to get out of the lane I wanted to keep it in. And this sounds like the solution to that. Like what I did in that case, it was navigating autopilot. So I did was just turned off lane changes for the duration of that segment of road. But here, I guess I could turn my following distance and then minimal lane changes instead. Says they reorganized the autopilot menu, and that is true. And so what I was finding was that when I got the last version, it was here, and then when the car turned off FSD and I turned it back on, it was here at chill. My lane change notifications are off. This is another way to turn on the minimal lane changes for the current drive. I guess that's where they got the. You can click on it in the main menu, and in your set speed, you can set it for the speed limit, or that's not the one I'm thinking of. But there was another one with the speed offset, and that used to be a ability to be absolute or percentage, and you can still see the setting for it to be absolute, but that doesn't work in FSD. You have to be with the FSD turned off. Obviously, just auto steer beta or traffic aware cruise control for that to take effect instead of the percent garbage. FSD profile shortcuts. Okay, so if you don't have a distance control, you can do it with the right scroll wheel by pushing the right scroll wheel to the left or the right. Oh, you guys have follow distance there too. I guess nobody really used it. And you can now see a live view of your cabin's camera while within the vehicle. I've seen a couple people notice that their cameras weren't installed correctly because of that. And there we go. Let's go back to some news. All right, so the VinFast, they want to begin their Canadian deliveries in June. More power to them. I still haven't seen any reviews of the U.S. market cars after they started the delivery. Hi there. I'm curious if they've improved it from what our friend discovered when he went to Vietnam and drove them there, where they were comically proud of themselves for something they should not have been. VinFast SUV catches fire in the showroom in Germany. All right, let's look at that. It's not one that was on my radar before. Oh, it's not clicking. So maybe we won't. It's not clicking at all. Oh, there we go. The title worked. Let's see. Fire broke out in VinFast in Cologne on Monday afternoon. An initial investigation just indicated the fire started near the front of the vehicle and spread to the showroom. That's not good. The report does not state which model of vehicle caught fire. So I'm not being sensationalist about this. All cars catch fire. But on this one, you got to wonder, is it a car that was wired up for showroom mode, like you see it at an auto show where they've got external power being supplied to the 12-volt system? Or was it just kind of sitting there? And if it was just sitting there, then why did it catch fire in the front? Which, again, it was probably a 12-volt system, statistically speaking, basically. One thing I did notice is that Tesla does have a mode like that, showroom, like that auto show mode, where the car didn't have to be plugged in, but if it is plugged in, it's really just level one charging the battery. And it's kind of cool the way they handled it. We've got this big battery, we've got this DC to DC. What do we need an external power brick to run the lights for? So I've been fast and answer them before they hit post. And how old is this post? This week. Oh, okay, I see what they're saying. They're saying that they delivered 45 of them. I think that was one of our stories. They delivered 45 EF8s to California this month, and they shipped 999 of them to the US last year. So what happened to the rest of them? All right, this is one I didn't read because it happened like yesterday. Tesla's offering 10,000 free supercharger credits for Model S and X buyers in another end of the quarter push. And let's see. So S and X buyers in Canada and the US get an incentive last 6 days. They learned that starting yesterday, any customer who takes delivery of Model S or X before the end of March 31st will receive 10,000 free supercharging kilometers in Canada and miles in the US. Man, you guys get shortchanged in Canada. 10,000 kilometers instead of 10,000 miles. Come on, Tesla. You can do better than that. Anyway, free credits are good for 2 years from the delivery of the vehicle, and similar offers in the past, the credits were not transferable to any new owner. I mean, that makes sense because your miles are on the owner's account, not on the car. Whereas free supercharging for life is on the car, and depending on when you got it, it was on the car for the duration of first ownership, or for the car for as long as it never came back to Tesla. That last part, though, the never coming back to Tesla, was added when Tesla started removing the. Not even then. It was later on when Tesla started just resetting cars to factory standard. Like even cars that came with FSD would be like sell FSD again. It's an easy cash grab, but it's slimy. But the miles themselves, the limited miles, were usually on the account of the primary driver or the owner. In addition, Tesla offered interview credits to entice buyers to take. Oh, yeah, we did that. And they point out that Tesla's still doing end of the year push or end of quarter pushes, even though Elon keeps saying they're not doing it, or keeps expressing that they want to stop doing it, whichever. Aaron says, I guess that's good. They're not offering for clear why. That means the volumes are probably good. This is true. Now, let's load up some more articles. I sent another one here and it never made it to the computer. So we might have to take another approach to this. Oh, there it goes. So this one, I believe, is about what we were talking about earlier, where we were saying that if you were looking to get a Tesla and get the tax credit, you should do it before the end of March, where the rules change. And it looks like this is that. I will check and see. We already talked about Vision and Park Assist coming back. This one is one I told a couple of the folks that I would bring up, but isn't really EV related. We'll talk about that next, and then we'll load up some of the articles that Dan found for us. So made in the U.S. Rules for EV batteries have shifted in the new law's fine print. Change favors automakers, but yet again is ignoring the will of Congress, says the senator. So let's see. In Bloomberg, discussions with a dozen manufacturing executives, battery analysts, and government officials. In the coming weeks, the extent over which a critical part of the battery supply chain will end up being made in North America, or whether it's currently concentrated in Asia. So with that is the way I'd seen it presented in other articles is, oh my goodness, if you bought the base Model 3, look out, get it now. The reason they're chicken littling it like that is because the base Model 3, the current base Model 3 is LFP. And because it's LFP, Tesla's current supplier for the lithium iron phosphate batteries is CATL. And they are located in China. They have talked about building a factory here, and that will change things, but they won't do it in time. So if you want to VinFast, or if you want a LFP car and you want it for anytime soon, you want to get it before the end of March to avoid the risk that you won't get the tax credit if you qualify otherwise. Yeah, mommy told me about the bond. I know you didn't want to order. Is he giving it back to Bowie? So were you playing with your toys? What were you doing? Where are we dumping off to? You want to go outside again? Well, mommy can take you outside. I'm working right now. Is that a stage where she can walk, but she still crawls? She's not the strongest walker because she's just starting. But yes, sweetie. How can I help you? All right. So let's see. Mansion doesn't like this, of course. So they still haven't done it yet, and that doesn't mean that they are going to change it, but because they'll have looked at it, things could change, and that's why we're all advising that if it's in budget and you were already going to buy a car, to get it before the end of March. And he's not wrong. These were made in America deals. The problem is that he's trying to be very stick to itness. Like they gave the manufacturers time to move. These things don't just move at the snap of a finger. You gotta pack up the lines and move them over, or make new ones, install them, test them. Otherwise, you have cars catching fire in the factory. That's not good. Anyway, really out of left field. One of the leading companies building out U.S. battery supply is based in Redwood. Oh, that's the one we refer to as a recycling company. They started on a $3.5 billion Charleston factory we talked about a few months ago. Oh, and they got one for Nevada. Nice. In an interview, Stovall calls the proposed reclassification by the Treasury really out of left field. It would be clearly changing the entire intent of the law. He says he's already hearing from automakers and other materials makers who are reassessing investment plans based on the white paper. It's not a hypothetical thing. Hmm. All right, and then why do we care as consumers? Our tax credit right there. It's two-parter, 3750 off the price of a new car and 3750 with cars built with critical materials. All right, so some folks are saying that the base model would not qualify at all, which doesn't sound right based on this reading, because that would be 3750. So why would they lose the other 3750? The car's not made in China, just the battery pack. Okay, so the materials, so the minerals are coming from China or elsewhere, and then the pack is coming from elsewhere. Okay. Okay. So yeah, you would lose it all on the base Model 3. Potentially lose it all, depending on how they do this. Everything that's mined and refined falls into part 1, and everything that's combined using chemical or industrial process falls in part 2. So yeah, the lithium iron phosphate Model 3 would risk losing all of the credit. Advantage Korea. How is that possible in Advantage Korea? Because Hyundai's been complaining that they don't qualify right now. I'm not sure how that is a benefit to Korea, but let's put the article here and we'll move on to some stuff I'm a little better versed in. All right, it's right there in the chat. Switch here. Let's okay. Dodge Mobile to go by with its screaming 30 engine crap. And close the Tesla Vision thing because we've already talked about it. And bring up a Ford. And then we bring up a then we bring up. Oh, I did bring up the VinFast article. I just didn't read it. Bring up something about Burger King. And then we'll dismiss this. All right, so Gordon Moore, he's an Intel co-founder, and if you've ever heard of Moore's law about how the computer chips will double their transistor count every 18 months, this is named after him. And so without him, the computing field would look different, and they would behave differently. They wouldn't have Moore's law. So he passed at 94 yesterday. What does that have to do with your cars? Well, all these EVs and all these combustion cars today have multiple computer chips in them. That's about it. In fact, my computer runs an Intel chip. My car. All right, so Ford's next generation project T3 electric pickup truck is set to debut in 2025 and will drive itself while you sleep, says Jim Farley. I mean, I know you guys want to follow Tesla and then beat them. But one thing you can learn from them is not to say when you want your car to be driving itself while you sleep and put a deadline on it. It's a hard computer science problem to solve. I like what I'm seeing right here, though, real quick. This, under the Ford logo here, you've got a forward-facing camera on the Transit. And this looks like the washer jets that you would find on some of the European luxury cars back in the day that would wash the HID lights. And so if they have a way to wash the camera, it would mean that their other vehicles do this. And that would mean that when they're benchmarking the Cybertruck against them, assuming they take it off road and then try to drive on the freeway, they might think ahead to actually put a washer for the camera on the front. They haven't done it for the back, but that'd be nice too. Nissan has a implementation where they put a small trickle of water constantly on the rear view camera to keep it clear, especially when it's raining. And then I believe they had a patent to refill the reservoir for that system with the rainwater, because when you need it most is when it's raining, and now you've got free water to keep it going indefinitely. Okay, assuming there's enough rain to fill it. You get the picture. Anyway, let's see what Farley's talking about here. I'm going to build 600,000 EVs in 2023. It's a good second place. Maybe. They only sold 61,575 last year, so. Really? I mean, good luck. Good luck. Go from 61,000 to 600,000 in 1 year. I'm skeptical. Their high ambitions don't stop at ramping up EV production. They also include their self-driving tech, which Farley says will be able to drive your car while you sleep in just 2 years' time. See GM's Ultra Cruise getting there pretty quickly, assuming that the FSD does it, because they have a similar capability. Blue Cruise isn't sold as being able to do what FSD can do today. And Ultra Cruise isn't out yet, but it will be on the Cadillac Celeste shortly. So they're going to have a new pickup truck known as Project T3. Trust the truck. That's cute. Trust the truck. T3. At a 3,600-acre blue oval campus currently under construction in West Tennessee. The automaker said that production is expected to begin in 2025, and the factory will be able to build 500,000 of the electric trucks per year at full capacity. I mean, that's a reasonable timeline to build a factory, is 2 years. But for them to come out as fully some, I'm wondering if there's like some nuance and fine prints to this. Like maybe the trucks that can do this are coming out in 2025. But to go from nearly scratch to being able to sleep in the car in 2 years, I don't know. That doesn't sound well. I'll take that back. If they license somebody else's stuff, that would give them a shortcut to it. Perhaps. What are you burning? She's making her food. Don't worry. It's smell the burn. Anyway, details are scarce with no renderings, targeted specs. Details provided are that it will be fully updatable, constantly improving, and supports towing, hauling, exportable power, and endless new innovations owners will want. So this sounds like it will be the F-150 Lightning 2.0. And if that's the case, you definitely wouldn't want to oversell this thing right up until they are loading on train cars to go to the dealers, because you don't want to Osborne the current truck until you've sold out all of your 2024 allocation. Uh, we've seen makers stop their 2023 allocation of EVs just because they sold them out. So if that's the case, we might see more details come out when they sold out 2024 and have delivered probably at least half of them. Let's see. One piece that was left out but revealed by Farley was related to self-driving technology, which will allow you to fall asleep behind the wheel. That's terrible phrasing. I get what he's trying to say, but that's terrible phrasing. People already fall asleep behind the wheel today, and it's not a good outcome. Maybe something like will allow you to take a nap and wake up at your destination, something to that effect. Like something that shows it was intentional, not accidental. Farley made the bold prediction in an interview with Bloomberg on Friday. He said, on the highway on a sunny day, you should be able to go to sleep in your truck or make a call or do whatever you want to do in your truck while it drives you. It'll be completely digital. It's a breakthrough product, says Farley. All right, so I knew there was something missing. So the caveat is, where did it go? On the highway, caveat one. So on approved roads, maybe not pre-mapped roads, but on approved roads. Then he says, on a sunny day, so perfect weather, and maybe not at night. So today that sounds wonderful, but in 2 years, will Cadillac and looks like LGM and Tesla have advanced beyond this? Because all three of them have really strong on-road, on-highway capabilities for their self-driving tech. I don't know. What do you guys think about this part? Conclusion I came to: pre-mapped areas such as how Cruise and Waymo currently operate, similar to what Ford is taking with their existing Blue Cruise. Allows drivers to take their hands off the wheel on certain sections of highway. So yeah, so the current Blue Cruise is pre-mapped. So yeah, I can see them building upon that. Very similar to what we have with Honda and Mercedes, allowing you to drive at on certain pre-map sections of the road at basically walking speed. Okay, not literally walking speed, but in a traffic jam, I think one was 30 miles an hour, the other was 43 miles an hour. And in good weather, they would allow you to take your hands off the wheel, eyes off the road, not sleep, be distracted basically, but be ready to take over at any point. And Honda did this with 100 or fewer cars in Japan only. And Mercedes is doing it here in the US. And the only real cool thing about either of them doing it is that literally the statement that you can take your hands off the wheel, eyes off the road, and do something else. They are taking liability for anything that happens while the car's under those conditions. The question is how they handle fallback. Do they just stop and just beep at you until you take over, or are they beeping for a certain amount of time, and if you don't take over, they stop? Because I'm sure that Mercedes wouldn't want to be on the hook for that crash that we saw at the beginning of the show here. Breakneck Trent says, doubtful that will be as useful as Tesla FSD. That's kind of what I'm feeling as well, especially when he adds in all of those caveats. They just, and then you think 2 years from today, and then you look at what I just saw uh, with yesterday's update, and what I saw almost a week before that on the update prior to that one. I mean, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina right now, and it's not particularly good in this town on either of the three versions, either the 69 dot whatever, this one, or the one in the middle, the 11.3.3, or the one in the middle, 3.2, I believe. It was still like 3.2 was a noticeable improvement, and 3.2 would get around certain towns I was driving in, like Greensboro, North Carolina, and others, Woodbridge, Virginia, other parts of Virginia. It would get around them just fine with minimal correction. I have to correct in Charleston at least once or twice every drive, but that's because they're not spending any money keeping the roads up. But if these can do that today, and when you think about what they'll be able to do in the next few months or weeks, let alone 2 whole years. I love it. I love it. Break that chat. So Trent says, when you run out of approved highway, like say you're in the appropriate conditions in the traffic jam in the Mercedes or the Honda, and you run out of approved highway, what happens then? Like, does the car just stop? Does it shake you? Does it beep and chime? 'Cause surely, if you're not on an approved highway, they're not going to be insuring that for you, because their insurance company would never allow that. Hello, little birdie. What are you eating? Hmm? Oh, you're eating jerky. She's eating Beyond Jerky. That stuff is delicious. Is it the spicy one or the regular one? You can't be bothered with regular. This baby loves spicy. You can sit with me? Look at that. Anyway. How Ford will reach this milestone in just 2 years remains to be seen. Yeah, that's what we're running here. Especially considering that they shut down their self-driving unit Argo AI last October. Another good point. So they would have to be implementing a new team or buying something at this point if they don't have a team to do it now. Where are you going? You just said you wanted to come over. No, I don't need you to type. Okay, so no comments on that one, just us. No, I don't need you to have me type, baby. All right, so before we talk about Burger King, let me load up some more articles. Let's look at mine. Stay on the FinFast train. Got a lot of articles saved up here that aren't cars, and not intentionally related, like Mr. Moore. Let's do one more. There we go. And then we'll talk about Burger King. So Burger King reveals whopping plans for 100% electric vehicle fleet by 2030. And at first, when I saw this, I was thinking their delivery fleet, like their semi trucks, but no. These are their support vehicles, like the permits and sites and franchise and repairs or whatever. These folks are going to be all electric. So founded in 1954. More about Burger King. They've already committed to reducing Scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2030, and they're on their way to achieving zero emissions by 2050. I'm curious how they're going to do that when they're the home of flame broiled, and their flame is methane. It's from municipal natural gas typically. So you can't be at zero when your main product is based on carbon. I don't mean the beef patties either. I mean, all right, bye, baby. Um, and on top of that, even if they were to electrically grill the patties, the beef is very carbon intensive as well. The Impossible Whopper is all right though. Anyway, let's continue on. They're working to increase their use of renewable packaging and recycling to reduce waste. Yeah, they transitioned nearly 1/3 of their field fleet team in North America to all-electric vehicles across 16 states by 2030. No, I've already done that. By 2030, they aim to have an entire zero-emission North American fleet. There we go. And the field team in various states is traveling to franchise locations to work closely with management and the BK team to enhance customer service, traveling over 1,500 miles on average monthly, really. Burger, nothing burger. I wouldn't say this is nothing. It's just not all that they implied with the titling and framing of the article. Because what would be more impressive would be if they would get their delivery trucks to be EV. But 1,500 miles a month per support vehicle in 16 states, that adds up. It's not nothing, but it is a nothing burger. In 2020, Blink announced an agreement to deploy several EV charging stations across Burger King locations across the Northeast. I have yet to see any of these. Doesn't mean that it hasn't happened, but I mean, when I'm in the Northeast, and I do stop at Burger King and Taco Bell a lot because when I'm in road mode, unless we've packed our lunch, I need vegetarian options, and the Impossible Burger is one way to do that. And everything at Taco Bell can be made into veggie, so those are my fast food stops. Subway has their vegetarian thing, or you can make a lettuce burger, but let's see. One of the items, oh, you can't see it here. One of the items that's next to the batteries that I usually have hanging around that are powering all of this is a battery powered solar fridge, and it can also be a freezer. So we have the capability of pre-making our lunches depending on how long the trip is. All right, all right. So that's the end of that. Oh, this was the one I was going to bring up later, but here it is, so I don't have to do it later. Expand. So Tesla gets hacked and it wins the hackers $100,000 and a Model 3. So people keep saying, "Oh, I'm afraid of the technology. What if it gets hacked? Blah blah blah. What am I going to do? Aren't you afraid?" No, I'm not afraid, because I think this is probably like the fifth or more Tesla that was given away like this. Tesla has a bug bounty program, and they participate in Own to Own and a couple of other hacking contests where, depending on the severity of your bug and how much control of the car you get, they have a graduating scale of how much you get paid. And that these competitions, they usually give away the car that you hacked. And then what will happen there is, as part of the agreement for getting the prize money and getting the car, you have to tell them how you did it so they can fix it. And you can't tell them the rest of the world how you did it until they've had a reasonable amount of time to implement the fix. And so that's pretty cool. So this one happened this week, and the hackers won $100,000 in the Model 3. And let's see what they did to get in it. All right, so the Zero Day Initiative is the company organization currently running Own to Own, and they confirmed this year was no exception, and the Tesla Model 3 they brought was successfully hacked. Confirmed Synactive, close enough, successfully executed a TOCTOU exploit against Tesla Gateway. Oh, so this is a control. It's part of the MCU, but it controls the car. They earn $100,000 as well as 10 Master of Phone points and this Tesla Model 3. All right, so we're going to open that in a new window and read the tweet ourselves. That's not a Model 3 in the picture, bub. That's a Model S. That is clearly a Model S. Fake news. So I guess this is the team. So them hacking the gateway. Oh, I didn't mean to close that. Says a lot of Tesla on it. And there you go. If I order a Model 3, will Tesla give me that one? It's not a Model S or a Model 3. So I guess the whole thing is a con. No, it's not a con, but I am wondering why they messed that up. That's me. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's possible that they hacked the Model S, but the prize was a Model 3. 0 Days other video shows them in front of the Model 3 that they won. Okay. Well, that's even nicer because now you can get a car that's not compromised, especially if you hack it destructively. No, you did get the car that you hacked, so you got to fix it yourself. They won the car they hacked, a Model 3. Someone posted the wrong image. All right. What are you burning now? That's not steam for the rice. The rice is burning. The air quality is down to 60 and the dust is high. All right, but the fire alarm goes off. We know why. Um, fuck, but even restaurants kill it. This is Sonic. All right, let's get back to the article. Oh, you watching Bingo? Just watching Bingo. All right, they confirmed they managed to gain root access to test the system and claim to have been able to have taken over the whole car. After having finished their exploit in a hotel room, these two successfully compromised the Tesla Model 3 infotainment system through Bluetooth and elevated their privileges to root. Wow. Combined with the previous entry, this could have been a full chain to take over the car. They shared this image of their Model 3 infotainment test rig. And so that's a MCU board right there. And there's the MCU screen. And then underneath that cable. Looks like they got something hooked up to the camera. And that looks like a adapter to plug into the CAN bus directly. Interesting. Okay, so what they did was a time of check to time of use violation. Now it's talk to. It's a file-based race condition which occurs when a resource is checked for a particular value, such as whether the file exists or not, and then that value changes before the resource is used, invalidating the results of the check. The findings of these kinds of white hat hacks are I think we've changed the term on white hat and black hat at this point. I don't remember what we call them now. Anyway, are always shared with companies in order to help make their products more secure. As previously mentioned, Tesla has been investing heavily in cybersecurity, and in detail about the report here. Yeah, so let's do it over Bluetooth. I wonder if somebody could pair a malicious like Linux phone, like an Android to it and do something with it, or if they had to do it with a PC. But it definitely sounds like they have to be at least in Bluetooth range of your car. This is one I didn't even have on my list. Well, look at that. BrightDrop finally has been contacting me back. I haven't answered them yet because they made me wait 6 months. Will hacking at Tesla become easier or more difficult as AI improves? Huh. Good question. Very good question. I think both, because Tesla's definitely going to be using it on their side. So it'd be kind of an arms race, really. That or waiting for them to make stupid mistakes. Like in that turkey. She's only got 14, so she's chewing on the same turkey. All right, so let's see. Rollaway, a Silicon Valley-based sustainable hospitality startup, is partnering with GM's BrightDrop to build a luxury electric van. Calls the hotel room of tomorrow. The van will feature 5-star services and amenities with an impressive 250 miles of range. Lots of pictures of this thing. Alternative lodging, rather than booking several different hotel rooms or Airbnbs. The electric camper allows you to adventure to multiple destinations without even needing a rental car. Yeah. LCCS charge at a decent clip. Partnering with BrightDrop. BrightDrop has worked with several top-tier clients such as Walmart and FedEx. Yeah. Leveraging BrightDrop's EV van to create sustainable hotel space. All right, here's some pictures coming up. While exploring, you don't have to give up the comfort and lavish hotel room experience. 5-star services and amenities such as spa class toiletries, set of Yeti amenities. All right, so I mean, you could. So basically, they van lifed a BrightDrop. It looks like, looking for this. You don't even need the Yeti. You can go with something cheaper. Farm to table breakfast packages from local sustainable farms. On-demand app that includes room service, housekeeping, and more. Okay, so that's how it's a hotel. A live personal virtual concierge to help you with your travel itineraries. Housekeeping on the go with fresh linens and full services coming soon. And Starlink satellite ultra high speed Wi-Fi to keep you connected off the grid. This is a unique angle. I'll give them that. They offer several different accommodation options, including the Glamp van, Quad van, and Lux van. The Glamp van sleeps up to 2 guests, featuring a queen size bed and full bathroom, living and dining area, and kitchenette. Look at these pictures. I mean, the cool thing here about the BrightDrop is it's quite large. All right, so this looks like this typical van life build right here. And pictures. All right, come back to me. And I'm gonna get one more picture. So I got the bed in the back, AC, you put a gas stove and electric fan. Why? Why? You've got a 250-mile battery. What's with the gas stove? Propane. And then beauty shot of a bug screen and a lady in a bathing suit looking out of the ocean. Otherwise, it's the same photo. I don't know. I think that with a platform like the Zevo 600, you've got so much possibilities. You need to do typical YouTube, Instagram, van life. Unless that's what their customers want. It's just, oh, look, we're doing van lifing for the week. But like, they could have done something a little more livable, I think. Something a little less Instagram. Plus, that is a Sprinter and not the Zevo. Sprinter, Dodge, whatever. For an upscale experience, Luxvan has a plush queen bed, up to a spa class bathroom. We can look at their website next. Something about this doesn't look like the pictures they're showing us there. It needs a solar roof. Yes, any electric vehicle RV should be made usable as backup power for your home to use as energy storage and save you on peak power by charging when cheap and selling back to the grid when expensive. Given that most RVs likely aren't used more than a few weeks per year, that makes much more sense to have it earn you money when it's not in use. So I suppose these could also be rented out. And in this case, they are rented out as the business case. You eating wasabi French fries? She's eating wasabi French fries. All right, so that's enough reading about them. Let's go to their website, see what they have to say for themselves. See if they have pictures that make any more sense than what they showed us there. Not a hotel, not a typical Airbnb, but the ultimate stay on wheels. So the reason I say it didn't add up is you've got your step side van front. We didn't see anything looking that direction. And then you've got these large windows that were cut into it. And even if this is rendered, that van didn't match this van. That van that they showed us matched this van on the left. Yeah, even the back didn't really match. That picture doesn't match. That picture is for the not believe it, for this Stellantis thing. I think those photos are from a Stellantis. Yeah, these are not pictures of the Zevo. These are pictures of the Stellantis Sprinter. Look, none of those windows are there. Their Instagram, like they got some pictures there. They do, but they're of the Sprinter. Got the same shots of the Zevo that we saw on that webpage. I'll come back to these people. It's an interesting concept, but the pictures don't match. All right, so VinFast is going to says they're going to begin the VF9 deliveries in Vietnam next week. North American release date is still up in the air. That's all I have to say about that. Additional supercharging locations in Europe now available to non-Tesla EVs. Say which ones. So they went from 16 to 69 of the 153 locations in Germany are now able to be used by everybody. That's cool. So that's about 45% of all Tesla superchargers in the country, and no wonder they don't have a list for us. It's a lot. And that makes Tesla the fourth largest DC charging provider in Europe for anyone that's not a Tesla, with ENBW having 228, Owl Pulse having 188, and Ionity, which is the one that a lot of us over here recognize. Ionity has 109. So Tesla has 69. And they can easily bump it up to 153. And from there, I'm wondering if any of those 153 are still V2s. And the V2s would. No, well, yes. Because the V2s over there, they ended up with a dual head solution. They've got the Type 2 connection that Tesla used to use for the S and the X. And then they added the CCS plug for the Model 3 when it came out to all the stations. And then the V3s are all CCS only. So the older S's and X's need an adapter. Or they can just do what they do over here and just keep pumping them out and just make fresh ones and be the largest provider. But as we saw earlier in the month, the V4 superchargers have started to deploy, and they feature longer charging cables and are expected to be made available to other EV owners soon. So if they do their open supercharger project on V4, that might be the way they go. instead, because you get the longer cables and you don't have people blocking spaces and using the wrong ones, that sort of thing. This will be interesting to watch, and I will keep an eye on it, and we will discuss. All right, the Boring Company faces backlash for treated wastewater dump in Texas. Okay. I expected that to say Germany when I saw the treated wastewater stuff. So treated wastewater means that it should be up to some level of standard before it gets released, right? Texas are not happy with the plan and have spoken out against it. Applied for a permit last year using a different entity, Gap Base LLC, to develop a site allowing it to dump more than 140,000 gallons of treated wastewater from Bastrop plant into Colorado River. Interesting. However, before that, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality opened an investigation into how the Boring Company has been handling its wastewater after receiving 3 complaints. Ambrose admitted being a fan of Elon, but felt the Boring Company was flouting the law. According to his Twitter post, about 400 people were on hand to attend the meeting, but about half returned back due to lack of space. He accused Musk of placing speed over everything. That sounds fair. He said, I don't know if y'all heard it as clearly as I did, but the reason they want to discharge treated wastewater into the river is because they can't wait 24 months for that pipe to be run and the permanent infrastructure set up. That sounds fast. What he's referring to is a $32 million wastewater treatment plant that Bastrop has already started building in 2021. Huh. So basically, they're doing it themselves right now, and they would have farmed it out to the city or this company that is running this actual plant. Our company was using the application as a short-term plan, and the capacity being planned might not be fully utilized. So the company's waste would eventually be sent to Bastrop's treatment plant, and SpaceX would also use the proposed facility to dispose of its waste, despite not being mentioned in the application. Well, I mean, unless the city or other company is charging you too much, why would you not use it when it becomes online? That'll be one to watch and see what happens. Project T3. This is a good one right here. The safety score has been adjusted very recently. It's now up to version 2.0. It's going to penalize the folks that drive at night less. It's still a significant penalty, but not like before. Let's get a couple more articles up. Did you just throw a wasabi french fry at me, child? No? Yes, you did. It hit my foot. Okay. Let's do this one. Share this tab instead. Close that one. All right, so this is safety score beta. It's using your scores of the last 30 days of driving, and it's looking at your time spent off of autopilot, basically. Safety score beta is intended to provide drivers transparency and feedback to their driving behaviors to encourage safer driving and potentially pay less for their insurance. Safety score is valued between 0 and 100, where a higher score indicates safer driving. Most drivers are expected to have a safety score of 80 or above. And where you'll currently see the safety score is if you are waiting for your car to download a copy of the FSD beta, and if you have Tesla insurance. I think outside of California, but maybe even California now at this point. And what it does is it watches how you drive. Let's talk about that in a minute. Version 1.2, 2.0, or a previous version. I had a previous version while I was waiting to become an FSD tester. So let's just look at 2.0 because that's all we're talking about here today. Safety Score 2.0 features several updates, including 2 new safety factors and updates to how your driving behavior is measured and how safety score is calculated. Here are key changes from version 1.2 to 2.0. They added excessive speeding as a new safety factor. This one is new, and some folks are really not going to like it. More time spent driving over 85 miles an hour will lead to a lower safety score. Uh, this one actually wouldn't affect me because my cruise control used to top out at 85 anyway, and also I tend to not want to have any interactions with the cops. So I guess the only time you'd see me going faster than 85 would be on certain roads in Texas where I might do 90 because the posted speed limit is 85. Um, let's see. They added unbuckled driving as a new safety factor. I'm surprised that one was not already there, but it makes sense. Because remember, all of these things that they're looking for in safety scooter are really just to lower their outputs from Tesla insurance. So if you're a risk to insure, then they'll charge you more, or you'll go somewhere else. Either way, save them on output. So unbuckled driving and speeding are pretty big factors in causes of crashes. Remember, they're not accidents, they're crashes. And they usually result from negligence on somebody's part or poor judgment. Yeah. All right. Next up, they updated the late night driving to be risk rated based on when you were driving from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. So the impact of late night driving on your safety score will depend on the proportion of time spent driving each hour from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. The impact of the safety score is now reduced earlier in the night and increased later in the night. So, say you work a late shift and you're coming home at 11 p.m., but driving safely, it won't affect you as bad as it previously did. Basically, in the past, if you drove at night at all, you could basically only expect to get an 80 for your safety score. It still hurts. It just hurts less now, and that seems a little more fair to me. It still stinks if you go into work every day in the dark, or if you get out on the super night shift, like 2 and 3 in the morning. What it also does is those folks that like to stay out till the bar closes, drinking or otherwise, that does increase your risk, and they will penalize you for that. The only objection I really had was what it did to the people who were making their wage. Like literally, that's just how they work at night during those hours. The folks driving after the bar closes, I get it. That's something insurance companies don't want to be involved in because you could be a victim as much as you could be the person trying to drive drunk. This one I liked. They updated the hard braking safety score factor to exclude braking events that occur while the vehicle detects a yellow light. So now you don't have that. It's yellow. Do I run through it? Nah, just if you feel you need to hit the brakes to catch the yellow, hit the brakes to catch the yellow. The availability of these features will vary depending on your vehicle's infotainment hardware. Yeah, you'll need hardware 3, I believe. And need to be in a place that offers Tesla insurance or be in line for FSD beta. But right now, your safety score doesn't really affect whether you get into the FSD beta or not. So to recap, what they currently look for, safety factors are forward collision warnings per 1,000 non-autopilot miles, hard braking, which is braking in excess of 0.3 Gs, which is not really all that hard. I got hard braking all the time and I had to drive hundreds of miles to get slid out. Same decrease. This is the same as a decrease in the vehicle's speed larger than 6.7 miles per hour in 1 second. Hard braking is introduced in the safety score formula as a portion of time where the vehicle experiences backward acceleration greater than 0.3 Gs as percent of the portion of time the vehicle experiences backward acceleration greater than 0.1 G, and so forth. Aggressive turning, that was always one I felt the cars are capable of so much turning, and if you put any Gs, so literally it turns in excess of 0.4 G, like autopilot can turn harder than you are allowed to for the safety score. I mean, it can be done and it can be done naturally, but it doesn't give you much room to work with. Unsafe following, that's totally on you, and I get that. The others, the hard braking and the aggressive turning, I think they should have a greater threshold. Forward collision warning. Problem with this one is the false forward collision warnings. The car imagines something and it pings you for it. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. But unsafe following distance is like a number one cause of crashes, of rear enders. So fix it. Unsafe following is a portion of time your vehicle's headway is less than 1 second relative to the time your vehicle's headway is less than 3 seconds. So when I was training for driving, it was always given as the 2-second rule. So if you were closer than 2 seconds, you were wrong. And then unsafe following doesn't kick in until you're going faster than 50 miles an hour, and it's done as a percentage. Percentage shown in the app is a percentage of unsafe following when driving and autopilot is not engaged. Value is capped at 64.2% in the safety score formula. All right, so the new one, excessive speeding, is defined as the proportion of time spent traveling in excess of 85 miles an hour as a proportion of time driven at a speed over 85 miles an hour versus all time driving. This value is capped at 7.6% in the safety score formula. And then here's the new adjusted one, the late night driving. It defines the number of seconds you spend driving at night between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Divided by the number of seconds you spend driving during the total day and night. So due to the variable risk level associated with driving during each hour is weighted differently. And driving at each hour will affect your safety score differently. Just link here, I'm gonna click it in a second. For example, driving at 10 p.m. will not affect your safety score as heavily as driving at 2 a.m. Driving sessions that span 2 days will apply to the day the trip ends. Interesting. So if you start a late night or an overnight trip, wow, I like to do overnight trips. By I mean I don't enjoy them. I like the lack of traffic. Doing any driving done on autopilot. So even driving on autopilot hurt you for this. That's not cool. It's capped at 15.2% in the safety score formula. So if you do all your driving at night now, you can now get an 85. You throw your cup or drop it. The difference to you? All right, I've clicked that link. It's not doing anything. Put a new tab. And me too. Takes me back to the safety score article. All right, so maybe that's why I didn't do anything. It's looks like somebody left the anchor off of this link. Anyway, forced autopilot disengagement is another one. So if you're using autopilot and you get forced off for the remainder of a trip, that'll count as either 3 audio warnings and visual warnings, or basically when the car says take over. These warnings occur when the Tesla vehicle is determined that you are not applied sufficient resistance on the wheel, or if you become inattentive. Or if you pick up your phone, for instance, they're saying that you're not attentive if you pick up your phone. Forced autopilot disengagement is introduced to the auto safety score formula as a 0 or 1 indicator. The value is 1 if the system forcibly disengaged during a trip, and 0 otherwise. Where are you going now, baby? You still showing that same derby? Unbuckled driving is defined as the portion of the time spent driving above 10 miles an hour without fastening the seatbelt. That's a percentage of time spent driving above 10 miles an hour. The value shown in the app is the portion of the time driven at a speed over 10 miles an hour without buckling the seatbelt. That's a percentage of time spent driving over 10 miles an hour. This is capped at 4.1% in the safety score formula. So if you're one of those people who likes to get the mail and then drive in, if you have a long driveway or if you live out in the country, buckle up. I mean, that was something I always did anyway, just out of habit, but like if you're from Vermont or if that's just not your style, you will pay for it on your insurance. You give you their formula. And then they tell you how to do better. So forward collision warnings. Maintain a safe following distance from the vehicle in front of you to give you enough time to react to slower or stationary vehicles. Pay attention to other vehicles on the road and reduce speed in traffic congested areas. And if you're going below 50, it doesn't matter. Hard braking. Engage the pedal early when slowing down, coming to a stop, or reacting to a change in your environment. Use regenerative braking whenever possible, and it's safe to do so. Maintaining a safe following distance reduces instances where the brake pedal needs to be applied with extreme force. And of course, if autopilot does your braking for you, then that's another way to do it. But I found sometimes that autopilot is slowing a little too slow for me, and I push hard on the brake when somebody's like jumping in traffic or whatever. What's up, Clayton? How you doing? DJ Clay says, "Hey, hey, hey." Okay, so Baby says, "Hey." Late night driving. Plan your trips to avoid driving between the hours of 10 and 4. That's helpful. Thanks, Tesla. Excessive speeding. Slow down. I'd say following. Do not follow closely. Okay. Unbuckle driving. Build a habit of fastening your seatbelt before you shift out of park, even at slow speeds. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. This one is another electric vehicle, but it's a bike. You can outrun electric bicycles from power tool batteries, which I think is a good idea because your power tool batteries, you can generally keep a better eye on. Let's see. Several companies have been working on and succeeded at making e-bikes compatible with power tool batteries. This example comes from Aventon. California-based bike manufacturer has a wide range of electric bikes, but until now they've all used their own bike batteries. But thanks to a recent partnership with tool manufacturer Works, you can now run on a pair of 20-volt Works batteries. That's kind of cool. The only thing I see that could be a disadvantage to this is that when you get where you're going, you're gonna have to bring some power tool batteries with you as well, unless they have locking mechanisms to keep people from stealing your drill batteries. Anton and Works aren't the only companies. Greenworks. Greenworks is a little bit of a different one here because not only is there a chance that they're working on a partnership, but remember we talked a couple months ago about how Greenworks is getting into anything with a plug or battery in this case. So they're making their own e-bikes. They already made mowers. They want to make basically everything in your garage that can run on a battery. Electric says this is pretty awesome and fulfills a long-standing desire of many e-bike enthusiasts. Yes, it does. Obviously, it requires having the right kind of bike and the right tools. It's only going to work for a certain segment of the larger bike population. But man, if I could use my ego batteries on stuff, that would be cool. Kidding, slipping spin accelerating. How can I make this group better? He's powering it with a drill. Illegal electric tiny car. All right, more articles coming up. So this one isn't really an article, and it's not endorsements at all. It opened in the wrong window. Got this. Paste it directly in this window. Close that. So in the Tesla app, they have an update that now allows you to purchase your Tesla extended service agreement directly from there. However, if this is my car, if you're out of warranty, they won't help you. So there are companies like Accelerate Auto here who will sell you an extended service plan. So for my Model X, 2018 Model X Q100D with 81,419 miles, and annual estimated miles of 12K, which doesn't seem like it adds up, but it does. I used to have a long commute and then drive all the time, and then COVID happened, and now I don't have any commute, and I just drive less. my driving is still equal to somebody's normal full year of driving, which is interesting. All right, so for 2 years, it cost me $43.66, which is about what Tesla would have charged me. So that's kind of a good savings. For medium or long term, it's just a slight bump. And bike cramp. So I can get up to 50,000 miles of extended warranty for up to 4 more years with just a $100 deductible. The Tesla deductible is much higher than that. And there's a 30-day waiting period to make sure you're not trying to scam them. What is more? Oh, sorry. I said up to 50. I get up to 75,000 miles, almost double. $100 deductible. And same 30-day waiting period. Roadside assistance is included. And they're not the only ones doing this, like I said. It's just not endorsed from them. It was just a way of me introducing the idea that the Tesla has done this. What's funny is the article for that came up after that. It seems the only thing special about it is that you can do it in the app now. So this one was nice. It's coming from Rivian. We've got another recall. That's the EV recall. It's not one of those times where I venture off into other cars. We've got a sad statistic, or urbanism, whatever you want to call it. Musk doing Musk things. What are you choking on, David? Choking on French fries. Real French fries. Then we're gonna go over to Europe for a bit. So Andrews can tell us if he's seen this vehicle in testing or on the road. But first, let's talk about Rivian, as I said. So Rivian has added superchargers with magic docks into their in-car navigation and their mobile app. And they fixed the 12-volt battery in the latest software update. So I'm not familiar with the 12-volt battery issue, but that is impressive to see them respond so quickly to add magic dock equipped superchargers to their charging map. And I think it's a good, especially for their customers, but also for them to be, upstanding members of the EV community. Ooh, I get French fries. My Explorer article make it so I can close this tab. There it is. So what I'm doing now is I can check my sugar wirelessly. What? New to that, so I gotta find out where to do it. Yeah, I can afford some French fries. I'm in agreed. And then I've still got the old sensor on for a couple more hours. I'm sure it's a completely different number. This one says 77 and the new one says 158. It's quite a discrepancy. I don't know why. Okay, so the release notes of 2023.10. Tesla superchargers with magic docks have been added as one of the filters in the in-car navigation app. I like the way that they filter those out too. It's very similar to how we have the 1, 2, and 3 lightning filter on the Tesla trip planner in car, but they let you kind of mix and match. Like you might only slow chargers or fast chargers, but nothing in between, or only fast chargers or only paid chargers. It's pretty cool. All right, so we're just gonna also look at these superchargers if they have version 1.12 or later of the mobile app. Your vehicle now shows select Tesla supercharger locations with Magic Dock in the navigation app's charger filters. A Magic Dock allows you to charge your Rivian at select Tesla supercharger locations, and these also show up in the mobile app. To charge your Tesla supercharger, you'll need to download the Tesla app. It's pretty cool. The next step would be for them to do like that other provider in Europe and integrate the Magic Docks into the Rivian app, so you don't even need the Tesla app as Rivian customer. However, for the membership program where you get the Tesla prices, you might still want to have the Tesla app. All right, so let's see. Right at the bottom of the release notes is probably one of the most important updates for those who had their Rivian bricked after a previous software update. According to Rivian, the update fixes a very rare issue that caused an internal loss of communication when turning on the vehicle, which drained the 12-volt batteries. That's pretty important. And another new feature that will make life easier for Rivian owners when charging is plug-in charge. With this capability, or this update, this functionality has been enabled on the Rivian Adventure Network and Waypoint chargers, allowing owners to simply pull up and plug in without the need to authenticate. Rivian does not note, however, that this functionality will be introduced on a rolling basis. With this update, you now have access to 1 year tune-in premium trial. That's pretty cool. I like to tune in on my Tesla. Yes, Eddie. You got turkey and french fries. What do you want? Mommy got that here for you. All right, so the cool thing here about them adding plug-in charge, I wonder then if Tesla will consider doing this on the on their mobile app, like let you enroll your plug-in charge, same way you would enroll a Tesla when you buy it, and then or similar to. And then you don't need any apps. Just when you pull up, well, I guess you still need a way to release the Magic Dock, or they could just update it so that if you push on it, it comes out with the Magic Dock. If you just pull on it, or push the button and pull on it, it'll give you the NAX connector. Just spitballing here. Fix an issue that crashed title. Fix occasional issue where Bluetooth media player showed the incorrect play pause state. And radio wouldn't resume. This one's important right here. After you remove the charge cable, the charge port door no longer automatically closes after 30 seconds. The charge port door closes automatically when you drive the vehicle. You can also manually close it from the center display or using the sensor at the charge port door. That's cool. This one popped up in the comments. The comments really had anything to do with it. All right, so the F-150 Lightning recall has revealed the root cause of the fire that stopped production, allegedly. Documents published by the NHTSA shed light on the incident. So these batteries are not built with the. Andrew says there's a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms across portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and on top of that, a tornado watch has been issued for parts of Louisiana and Texas at 7 p.m. Wow. Stay safe and take care. Absolutely. Absolutely. So LG made the batteries that had the problems for the Bolt, and how they got fire. And not just the Bolt, but also all the Hyundais that happened to as well. I say Hyundais, but Hyundai, Kia, all that. So the F-150 Lightning batteries are made by SK, which got into a little bit of trouble for copying LG apparently. But they weren't susceptible to the previous battery manufacturing flaw where the bits of metal were getting thrown into the production. So to see them have something like this now was interesting to me. Only 18 units, the 2023 model year. NHTSA published the official documents revealing what caused the fire in the first place. When the vehicle's high voltage battery is at a high state of charge, the vehicle could experience an internal short circuit in the battery, which could result in a fire. Now, I saw people in the comments getting confused by what the charge level has to do with how the vehicle could have a transient short. Remember that the Ford uses pouch batteries. So this is a problem why Elon doesn't like pouch batteries, because it makes everything harder because they can grow and shrink as they charge and discharge. So at a high state of charge, they could experience an internal short. Due to production processes deviations at the supplier, the aluminum cathode tabs may contact the anode electrode material, causing an internal short circuit when the high voltage battery cells are at a high state of charge. So this isn't the same as metal flakes, but it's the same problem that when the battery is at a high state of charge, it's not doing what it should be doing. These batteries are manufactured by SK Battery America Group in Georgia and fitted to 2023 F-150 Lightnings assembled between January 20th and 26th, as per the NHTSA. Now, obviously, they made more than 18 trucks in that time, but apparently only 18 of them were at issue, or at least 18 of them were recalled. Their excuse, I think, that there weren't more is that some of them were in transit to dealers, so it's not exactly a recall if it's handled before a customer has it. And remember, they stopped production for about a month because of this. Affected vehicle owners will be notified by Ford and directed to a nearby dealer where the entire battery pack will be replaced free of charge. So that'd be nice if you put a lot of miles on your truck already and get a little reset. Then they're talking about service. Let's check these comments real quick. And there we go. The people talking about the battery. And then somebody points out they can swell and change shape as they charge. This can be the difference between the cathode and anode tab being a little closer to each other than is called for in the spec and actually touching, causing a short. High state of charge can also cause a short when lithium metal dendrites form during charging and connect the anode and cathode. Yep. And this one doesn't sound like dendrites, no. It's too new for dendrites. All right, then I would suspect that most of the rest of these comments are not conducive. 31% of Americans still won't consider electric vehicles, according to a poll. And they're going to have themselves some trouble finding a car in the next 10 years. Let's see. U.S. is involved in a push. Recent 7-day poll from Reuters and Ipsos has concluded on Monday revealed that 34% of respondents were open to the idea of purchasing an electric car, while 31% noted they were not considering it. Survey indicated that Democrats are more inclined towards EVs, but 50% considering the idea. Numbers only 26 among Republicans and 27% among independents. So, one thing about finding yourself in a place that's full of Republicans is not creepy. Sorry about that. The you can see some of them that aren't caught up in the party anti-wokeness, and they drive Teslas and Rivians and Lucids, and for various reasons. Some of them do it for the environmental reasons, others just because it was the best car for them, others because it was cheaper to operate it, or they want to actually have a place for their future children to go. Because remember, the EPA was started by the Republicans before they changed their minds about it. So anyway, all of that to say that despite what the results of these polls is that they're not all like that. Anyway, 56% of respondents were not willing to pay more than $49,999 for an EV. They claim this is an interesting price point that's already been met by some popular electric cars, as we discussed last week when we did our debunking of the anti-EV myths from that one article. Tesla Model 3 starts at 42,990, and 35% of the poll's respondents also wanted an EV with 500 or more miles of range per charge. Currently, only Lucid Air does that, over $80,000, and a lot of them, my baby is giving my wife Zerberts. Anyway, as that same guy who wrote the article last week ran into, they have this mindset of, I've got to go somewhere, I gotta rebuild my range, not the mindset of, oh, I wake up, I'm just ready to go. And others seem to have this idea that they go on these nightmarish road trips constantly. Some of them do, but not anywhere near as many as want these 500 to 1,000 mile ranges. And then the small amount of the others only want the 500-mile range because that's what their gas car does today. That hasn't been true in a while because the gas cars have been shrinking their tanks to save on weight and other costs. So some of them are only 250 to 350 miles range anyway. %, said they want a minimum range of 300 miles per charge, which can be done easily by a lot of the cars on the road today. Same thing that Tesla said. Such as the Model Y, Mustang Mach-E, and premium EVs from companies like Rivian and Lucid. The poll was 4,410 participants across the U.S., and the credibility interval is approximately 2 to 3 percentage points in either direction. All right, then. Is that the same 31% of Americans that still have a wired home phone? Tangible says EVs do not cover all use cases. Yeah. EV range estimates by the EPA fool no one. They're not real world. Neither are the gas ratings. The EPA ratings are not designed to say you'll get this. They're designed to compare cars against each other. Same class. So if you look at a Camry and an Accord and a Model 3, you'll know what you can get between them. Anyway, these comments seem to evolve. So let's go on to the Musk being Musk. And I'll pull up a couple more articles real quick. We already talked about Ford fires. Oh, baby, you don't need a hot sauce or these burritos or a knife. I don't know where I can put them. Get some place to put these, please. Anyway, all right, so we'll open this in a new tab. Find it again and close it. Then we'll talk about Musk. So he overruled Tesla engineers who said removing radar would be problematic. 2 years later, installing a new version of Tesla is installing a new version of the sensor in its vehicles. Baby, what are you doing with those paper towels? Let me see this. Play with those. So, are you spinning me? She was spinning me. So the he's consistent on this radar thing. He said that the high def radar is what they wanted, and now high def radar is a thing, and they're putting it back. A significant number of engineers were overruled by CEO Musk when they tried to warn him that removing the radar from the American car makers' models would be problematic. And it was. Took a long time to get on parity with that. But as we saw at AI Day, they managed to meet the and exceed the old radar with the vision. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the new one. Time of the removal of the radar, he was most frustrated with the quality of the radar itself. I believe that a high resolution unit would improve the company's driver assistance systems. So, like I said, it's not inconsistent. So, speaking of Ford and Europe, so the Ford Explorer EV is a Volkswagen MEB based SUV, but it's not like the ID4 and all of the other clones of it. They actually have a new body on it, and a lot of the interior is different as well. But a lot of it remains where you wouldn't expect it. Stuff like the window switches and some of the steering wheel controls, that sort of thing. So let's kind of skim through these photos here. I mean, it's not a bad looking truck. It's a lot smaller than the American Explorer as well. It looks big, but it's all by itself, but it's not big. Think of the ID4 and this is it. You kind of get a little taste for it with those IoT chargers. The other thing, you can see, instead of the Ford's front fender charge location, you get Volkswagen's passenger side rear. I should say right rear, because it could be in Europe. Get a different screen than the other Ford electrics. This can tilt up and down, and there's a vault behind the screen, so you can lock stuff behind it. And then you get the Volkswagen start-stop thing on the column instead of what Ford uses. I'd be surprised, and also find it humorous if the pedals had the play and pause on them. This will probably not fit in with any of the Ford software going forward. Because it's not fully at Ford. So that's enough of that. Moving on. Oh, Andrew says he hasn't seen it in real life, only on the internet. What do you think about it? Is it decent, or is it just like a compromise, or them just filling their contract? Talk about the Ioniq 6 in a bit. EV owners service. We talked about Ford already. We just finished talking about Ford. Talk a little bit about the Gigafactory and the Cybertruck. Talk about a former Tesla executive. I know I said I'd pull up Dan's articles. I just haven't done it yet. Talk about Cruise. Whirlpool. All right, so Rivian has joined Tesla and others in doing their own in-house audio instead of paying Bose and B&O and everybody for audio. So I had taped that off, and it was quieter. And then my baby started picking up the tape, and then my wife removed the tape. So now it's full volume kid toy. Sorry if that comes through on the audio at all. Got some more tape though. All right, so an update on the Rivian website this week. The automaker is no longer working with Meridian. My buddy has Meridian audio in his Rivian. You ran your hand over with the toy? You were dancing and ran yourself over with the toy? Oh, looks like you got over it. Oh. So they have 2 less speakers as well. The elevation system is now featuring 2 fewer speakers, with the R1T dropping from 18 to 16 and the R1S going from 20 down to 18. Rivian says the 2 speakers that were removed are the rear passenger door mid-range speakers, the sound from which has been shifted to a tweeter and woofer for seamless frequency. Interesting. So they're saying it wasn't necessary, and they saved weight and cost by having 2 less speakers per car. Rivian says that testing has shown listeners prefer the sound offered by their system, and by using in-house design system, they can now more easily tune it going forward. Yeah, because the less other companies' software you got to integrate into your system is easier to do your updates. Many are upset about the change, but it appears that new owners haven't noticed. Rivian says the production of the vehicles with the new system began in February, and there are likely many in owners already in owners' hands. An easy way to spot the system you have may be to look at the speaker covers, as the previous system had a Meridian elevation on them, and for some of these now says Rivian elevation, or at least just won't say Meridian. Hyundai Ioniq 6 get 2 years of free Electrify America charging. That's nice. Who doesn't like free charging? All right, so the Kona got 250 kilowatt hours of charging, or aka 1,000 miles, but the Ioniq 6 is getting 2 years. The free charging sessions will be limited to a maximum of 30 minutes per session, which is plenty. It's not like the Ioniq 6 is going to be towing anything. There's been no similar deal listed for Electrify Canada. Sorry, Canadians. And it's expected to begin delivering in Canada and the US this spring, with 3 different trims north of the border, as low as $54,999 CAD, which allows for all of them to qualify for the $5,000 Canadian federal rebate. And the US will have 7 trims. Oh my goodness. So 3 versus 7. Starting price at $41,600, and of course, going up from there. Oops. I hit the right button, but the wrong way. They have an option for slides. I can do a PowerPoint in here if I wanted to. All right. I guess I could have always done it by sharing the screen, but now it seems to be built in. EV owners are less satisfied with the service experience than owners of fossil cars, according to a study. High recall rates and long wait times are some of the gripes of EV drivers. So this kind of goes several ways here. There's a picture of Tesla's in the service center, an old picture of Tesla's in the service center here, but Teslas weren't even in the study. And when you look at how difficult it is to obtain a test drive and an EV from the traditional automakers, it also would stand to reason that service with them would be less than ideal as well. So the 2023 JD Power Customer Service Index reveals that electric vehicle drivers have been less satisfied than ICE owners when it comes to their service experience. And part of that is that the techs aren't as familiar with the EVs either. JD Power says that the ownership satisfaction among EVs is 42 points lower on a 1,000 point scale. So it's not much. It's just noticeable. The lack of knowledge of the service advisors continues to be a problem for EV owners who rated this particular issue with 8.01 points out of 10 versus 8.59 points for fossils. The study is now in its 43rd year and numerical index rating of the highest performing automotive brands sold in the US, which is based on the combined scores of 5 measures of service quality, service advisor, vehicle pickup, service facility, and service initiation. Another annoyance for all car owners in the US is longer wait times for service appointments, which have increased steadily since 2021. Now a premium owner has to wait 5.6 days on average before their car is taken in for repair, while mass market vehicles have to wait 4.8 days, with labor, loaner availability, and part shortages among the main concerns for longer wait times. As for the brands themselves, Tesla and Rivian, which are the EV-only car makers, they're nowhere to be found on the chart, on any of the charts, and aren't mentioned in the official press release. Probably because they don't use dealers. It's a little harder to get at their owner roster. However, Lexus, which makes the RZ, Porsche with the Taycan, and Cadillac with the Lyriq are the top 3 premium brands, with the Japanese car makers getting 900 out of 1,000 points. Porsche got 880 points, and Cadillac was close behind at 879 points. So let's look at these real quick, since we know that none of our favorite brands are in here. Well, not none of ours, but none of the ones we talk about every week. Wow, Mitsubishi is top of the charts at 884. They've got one plug-in hybrid. I don't know if they have any electrics left in the States. And then Mazda, who we know doesn't really have any electric cars. They've got that 100-mile thing, but it would be a blip in this. Buick, I don't think they have any. Subaru, they've got Solterra. Mini. Chevrolet's got a bunch of EV models. GMC, he's got one. Nissan's got 2. Honda, they don't have anything in the US yet. And Toyota, they've got 1. And the average is 842. So Toyota is tied with the average. Interesting. Overall, goes to Subaru. No, mass market cars goes to Subaru. Mass market brands goes to Mitsubishi. Mass market SUVs and minivans goes to Mitsubishi again. Premium brands goes to Lexus. Premium cars goes to Lexus. Premium SUVs goes to Lexus. Trucks goes to Nissan. Interesting. You would expect somebody else. There you go, Nissan. And then it recycles. Right, next, we've got the second Cybertruck Gigapress has arrived in Texas, and I suspect that this one will install faster than the first one, because one would expect that when they were installing and curing the foundation for the original, that the second one was also being prepared at the same time. But now that it's in Texas, it'll be a lot easier to do the next steps of actually getting it in the ground or on the ground. The description on the side of those boxes reads die casting machine parts. And those components arrive from Hydra this month. Hydra. Couple more weeks before they make their way to the Gigafactory to be installed. I wouldn't use the original traversal as a guideline for how long this will take, because again, they arrived in the States, and then they had to get the permits, and they had to plan the route, and they had to bring them in. All the while, they had to wait for the foundation to cure. So most of the steps should already be done at this point. Hey, we want to reuse the plans from last time. We want to go here. All right, get our suppliers, or get everything ready to go, and then just follow that. So it should be considerably less time. Let's see. That's the covered up the windows. Interesting. The gate press is one piece of the production puzzle, so that must mean that they're getting closer if they're willing to cover up the windows, because that's not been something they do typically. Rear bigger casting and now front, yeah, maybe. So when is this thing going to be sold? Talk and marketing mean nothing. It's not talk and marketing. They aren't even marketing this thing. They're installing the parts. All right, so let's see. Considering how different it is, we need to wait for battery supply to catch up. Just all in but typically takes 4 to 7 years to get the prototype to scale production, so they're kind of in that. People tend to ignore all the ideas that legacy auto talk about and then never seem to deliver on, or years late. They're the only ones. The ones that did the loudest. GM said they've had 22 EVs on the market by the end of 2022. I can name 5. Yeah, it's not even close to 22. Audi ran print ads for 2009 for the 12 e-tron. It came out a mere 6 years after that. It's par for the course for the auto world. People just have short memories. All right, former Tesla executive, Australia executive, is sentenced for insider trading. Kurt Schlosser was head of Tesla's Australian operations, has been disqualified from managing a corporation for 5 years after pleading guilty to 2 insider trading offenses. The charges related to purchasing 86,478 shares in a lithium company after learning of the pending deal between the company and Tesla. That's a big no-no. Martha Stewart can tell you about that. New South Wales District Judge Deborah Payne sentenced Schlosser in 2.5 years in prison, but was spared from having to serve jail time. The judge explained, citing Schlosser's guilty plea, remorse, good character, agreement to pay a penalty, and view that he was unlikely to reoffend, Schlosser forfeited $28,883 he made from the sale of the shares. ASIC is committed to acting against conduct that damages the integrity of Australia's financial markets. Insider trading undermines investor confidence and gives individuals an unfair advantage. This criminal outcome demonstrates that serious consequences for trading when in possession of insider information. ASIC Deputy Chairwoman Sarah Court with Financial Review. Yeah, I mean, just don't do insider trading, folks. Cruise has applied for a permit to extend autonomous vehicle testing throughout California. And so we'll see what happens with that. Oh, this was a fun one. I'll pop that up on the screen. One, 2. Yeah, Papa, what? How can I help you? You want my food? No, it's my food. You already ate yours. All right, so Moody's has adjusted Tesla's credit score, finally. They're now considered investment grade instead of junk. All the while, they're no longer actually seeking credit. So this is interesting. Moody's cited Tesla's upcoming Cybertruck production, regional protection facilities, and the company's focus on efficiency and financial leverage as reasons to bump up their rating. Per Bloomberg, the move from junk to blue chip is both symbolic and practical for the automaker. In theory, the new credit rating should mean cheaper financing and should now mean that Tesla is considered a blue chip for credit for investors. So I think that's the only part that matters, the credit for investors, because as we've seen, Tesla isn't really partaking in the credit market anymore. They're self-funding. They're paying off their old bills and keeping on rolling. So a little further to show it. Even with the previous junk rating, Tesla thrived. Tesla became the first junk-rated company to achieve a $1 trillion market value in October 2021, which at the time made the 8th largest company in the world by market cap. So 8th largest in the world, and they're rated junk. So what does it say about everybody small? I mean, it's just weird. Polestar's announced the Polestar 2 BTS edition 230. The BTS edition 270 was released last year, but the 230 focuses on performance design. So you include exclusive green Nebula exterior paint with optional black stripe, micro suede upholstery and steering wheel inserts, a plus pack, pilot pack, and performance pack, and the same performance and chassis updates from the BST edition 270. Well, there you go. Although, is the 230 better than the 270? Like, I don't know. Either way, it's limited edition, so it doesn't really matter unless you're buying Polestar down. All right. Tesla Roddy went in to explain the credit rating as well. I'm looking for the one that has the chart. Ford sees 53 dealers opt out of the EV charging program, but 24 sign up following rule changes. Most dealers aren't interested in being part of the charging network. Incoming Toyota CEO Koji Saito highlights the importance of hydrogen technology alongside the EV push. Let's put this up on the screen. So remember when they said that they had a new younger guy and everything would be different, and I said, I'm not holding my breath, we'll see. The more things change, the more they stay the same, eh? Hydrogen really isn't that important for passenger cars at all. I mean, they could be if technology changes. I like it, Bennett. Bennett says, how does a person get bespoke tires that are also Pirelli on a production car? I was like, I wasn't feeling they're like, oh, special edition. It felt like a sticker pack to me. I mean, not just stickers, but other than the paint and the micro suede, blah blah blah. It just felt like something that just came from the parts bin, you know. Right. So we want to ensure that hydrogen stays a viable option. However, unless we see evolution there, we cannot expect a volume increase in the energies used. So it's important, but they realize that it's not useful. Maybe they color the tire at the lettering at the factory. I wouldn't be surprised to see them do that. Like, hey, what are you doing this week? Oh, I'm putting the color on 8,000 tires for this limited run. Then I'll be back to putting on doors in the car. This is why Toyota is still obsessed with it. They convinced the government of Japan to go all in on it. So the government of Japan wants to deploy 200,000 fuel cell vehicles in the country by 2025 and 800,000 by 2030. And I can see why they'd be confused thinking that this is the rest of the world when you've got such a loud drumbeat back home. There are currently only 160 hydrogen stations in Japan, but that figure is projected to double to 320 by 2025 and 900 by 2030. And as we saw last week, China has more hydrogen filling stations than Japan does. Let's see what's next here. I hate it when it scrolls like that. Oh, this Saskatchewan is the next one here. Saskatchewan River School District receives its first electric school bus in the province. Congrats to you guys. No more diesel soot in your kid's face. Because, like, how tall do kids stand? Like this tall. And where's the exhaust come out? Like right here, right in their face. So, having an electric powered bus solves that. And then we talked about the Model S Plaid with Sebastian Vettel last week. There's some more video of him driving around the Nürburgring. Oh, this is kind of cool. We'll share this on screen. So update to the Tesla app for telling you about your battery. And we got an autopilot crash that was alleged, and we found out some more about it. I just hit the button. I'm like, where is it at? I didn't hit the button for it to show up here. Okay. And then we'll talk a little bit about Mercedes and their EV initiative. And then we'll go to China, talk about some stuff there. We talked about FSD beta at the beginning of the show, so we'll skip that. We talked about park assist, so we'll skip that. Did we talk last week about Starlink and T-Mobile and FCC? I don't know if we did or not, but let's see. When is this dated? We might have. Either way, that's making progress. Talk about a little insider baseball at Rivian. And then insider baseball at VinFast. That should be the last VinFast article for the day. I hope. We'll talk a little bit about Volkswagen. Briefly. The Model Y made it to the Arctic Ocean, first EV to do so in the dead of winter. Jonathan Zoes, aspiring filmmaker, became the first person to drive an EV to the Arctic Ocean in negative 40 C, also negative 40 Fahrenheit, because they match. He did it in Tesla Model Y in the Yukon. Congrats. Talk a little bit about 7-Eleven EVs, because why not? Tesla started transporting cars by rail in China. And then Mary Barra has met with the Congress. So let's see what Mary Led is doing. All right, I just told you about 7-Eleven. It's coming up. And then we saw the guy with the 10-foot wagon wheel Tesla last week. Yes. They ordered the thing, puts them in when I don't put them in the notebook. Is like it's messing with me. Polestar 3 gets a price drop, so they're in price wars like everybody else. We talked about the Rivian software updates. Talked about Lucid Air getting CarPlay. Last week, I believe. Survey of over 16,000 Canadian EV owners finds they're not all going back. Nearly all are not going back to fossil. Go figure. Except those people who bought the wrong car for their purposes, or that had a terrible experience with the only car that does fit for them. Most don't go back, assuming that they have home charging or a good solution like work charging. So we talked about Snactive at the beginning of the show, winning that Model 3 with the photo of the Model S. Then we're going to talk about Giga Berlin. I'll push the button. And then we will talk about Ford and that EV ramp. In fact, let's do that one now, just because we had already started talking about it earlier when I was questioning how they could possibly go from 60,000 to 600 EVs. It just doesn't make sense. So, Ford's lost $6 billion during their EV ramp, and they expect to lose another $3 billion this year. This year that they magically hit 600,000 vehicles. Uh, and then they also want to hit 2 million units by 2026. That's not as far fetched. Like they could do that from 60,000. It won't be easy, but they could do that. But from 60,000 to 600 just in 1 year, that sounds like a stretch to me. Bennett pointed out that with the Japan and hydrogen situation, he says, "Oh, we make the same mistake of subsidizing ethanol here." Absolutely, like the corn should be for eating and feeding and industrial uses. So we shouldn't be burning it for no reason. It's supposed to help with the air pollution and fuel economy and all that, and all it does is change the air pollution a little bit, and like in the wintertime and summertime, it changes. It doesn't do what it set out to do. Let's just say that, other than sell corn. Due to the slow obsolescence, it might be somewhat before electric school buses take hold. Baby, why you get your dirty feet on my pillow? Yeah. Anyway, I think that this will happen faster than the school boards and the other entities, whole states, cities, counties. Everybody replaces their buses. This will be assuming that the money stays out there for doing this early. I think we'll see a lot of them move their numbers up and just do a replacement because the benefits are there. It's free money, and then once they've got it, the maintenance is lower, the fueling is lower, and they last longer. Other than maybe replacing battery packs, depending on who makes the battery packs in these things. But even then, replacing battery packs is still cheaper than some of the other overhauls that they could do. Bennett says, yeah, we ended up with folks cutting down trees, releasing all that carbon in the soil and trees, and growing corn on new land because there's money in making more of it. Exactly. We kind of talked about that in one of my groups earlier about the government cheese. Had a similar effect. The government was buying all this cheese to keep the milk production up, and then the cheese was about to go bad, so they had to do something with it. So they gave it to the American poor. As previously stated, Ford does not expect its Model E division to become profitable on a pre-tax basis until 2026. I mean, that's fine. When they made the Prius, they knew they were going to lose money on that for a long time. However, that assumption requires them to ramp up to 600,000 units by the end of this year and 2 million by 2026 to do that. Good luck, Ford. Good luck. And even if you don't hit your numbers, just keep on going. You're going the right direction. We need good, viable competition for everybody to have some solid charges to pick from. So let's go back to the Tesla mobile app. And so they have a new insight into your battery pack, as Electrek is pointing out. So in your charging display, the little ticks are constantly there now without you having to hold down the control to pick your charge limit. It's a little easier to see at a glance what your car is trying to do. They'll tell you that in the cold you have less energy due to less energy in the battery due to the cold, and battery is heating for optimal performance. And start to see the two charging levels and the ability to soak up. Okay, so this is the other part. You can now, if you have a Tesla Energy Gateway, meaning you have Tesla Solar or Tesla Powerwall or both, or Solar City, you can set your lower bound and your upper bound for your charging so that the car will say I need 60% all the time. So the car will charge to 60 and then wait for the sun to come up and have excess solar. Then it'll charge to whatever my other level would be, say 90, and then the car would float between 60 and 90 based on excess solar. Manage and payment history. There's a new membership option. That's not. Oh, well, that is new for non-Teslas in a way. New for non-Teslas in the States, I guess. Um, Previously reported Tesla launching a new feature. Tap on it. Okay, so there's the charging right there. You set your minimum and maximum. The yellow is coming from the sun. I don't see anything about battery health in here. Let's see it from the Tesla app page. Maybe they laid it out better than Electric did. Charging area of the app now shows more details. We'll display the port from the battery that's unavailable due to the battery's pack cold temperature. Yep. Tick marks, 10% intervals are now always available. Yep. Drive on sunshine, we just talked about. Your minimum charge level is 50% still, though, so the car will charge whatever to 50%, and then it'll switch to solar, depending on what your minimum and maximum levels are. I like how it changes to yellow in the display and everywhere when it's on solar. That's cool. Versus green when it's not. Charging membership. Rolled out a new option under the profile account charging menu. In addition to manage payment and history, there's now a new membership option to manage your membership for non-Teslas. I think you could add it before, but I guess managing it might have been on the web. Oh yeah. I don't know about that. Something changed with the membership, but it's not immediately clear to me what it is because membership's been in there since Europe. All right, so during a Newport Beach crash in 2022, they speculated autopilot might have been on. It was not. So authorities determined that the autopilot was not active in the Tesla Model S Plaid in California last year. On May 12th of 2022, the S Plaid crashed into construction equipment on the Pacific Coast Highway, PCH, between Old Newport Boulevard and Riverside Avenue. The crash claimed the lives of 3 people, Crystal McCollum, Andrew James Chavez, and Wayne Walter Swanson Jr., as well as injuring 3 workers at the site. The media were quick to name Tesla driver's assistance features as a possible cause after NHTSA included the accident as part of their probe. I mean, and thankfully the NHTSA isn't as sensationalist as some of these journalists. Yeah, they'll throw something into an active investigation, but if the data isn't there, they'll kick it back out. This isn't. I mean, it may be a witch hunt, but it's not like a breathless witch hunt. Like they're looking for real things they can point their fingers at as a government entity. Let's see. Newport Beach's police department major accident investigation team collaborated with Tesla, the federal agency, and local authorities to gather information from the events leading up to the crash. The data retrieved from the car's onboard computer revealed that no driver assist function was activated, and the car was under the driver's control the whole time of the collision. It's kind of like the elderly gentleman who we found out that the car had never been in autopilot. In this case, they didn't say that. They just said it wasn't on at the crash in that session. Authorities believe that speeding as well as alcohol or drugs were the main factors in the incident. Newport Beach Police Lieutenant Eric Little said that the vehicle was traveling at a great excess of the speed limit at the time the crash occurred. You almost got me with that. Minimizing. They're not accidents, they're crashes. There are no accidents with guns. All right, Mercedes-Benz support billions into modernizing EV production facilities, which, as we saw with Mitsubishi last week, committing to comply with the law so they can continue selling cars. Mercedes is going to make sure that their facilities can accommodate this. All right, so let's see. Bremen and Massat will soon begin work on the Massat plant. The company plans to introduce the first model of compact vehicle platform MMA from 2024. That's not bad. Mercedes plans to extend its U.S. plant in Tuscaloosa, considering government subsidies. The automaker is also open to adapting changes in regulations as they vary from country to country. I mean, yeah, you're open to it because if you don't, you're not selling that country anymore. Moving on. Beijing has approved Baidu and Pony.ai to provide autonomous ride-hailing services without safety drivers. So think Cruise Automotive and Google Waymo, or Alphabet Waymo, I guess, uh, in Beijing. There you go. All right, so insider baseball at Rivian. Their chief engineer has gone back to McLaren. What do you got to say about that? Insider baseball at VinFast. Come on, computer. You're not showing me what everybody else is seeing. There we go. VinFast has lost 3 senior sales executives. In a statement, VinFast confirmed the reports and noted that Gareth Dunsmore, Deputy Chief Executive for Global Sales and Marketing, had left the company for personal reasons. The company also confirmed that Greg Tebbets, Chief Marketing Officer, and Greg Westbrook, Chief Service Officer, left due to changes in management model and specific business requirements. So one guy left on his own and 2 guys got cut. Back to Volkswagen. Volkswagen's Power Co. SE has announced the start of construction of a new gigafactory in Valencia. If you're going to make all these EVs, you need a place to get the batteries from. And what better place to get the batteries from than your own personal gigafactory? Well, not personal, but your own corporate gigafactory. The new facility will have a capacity of around 40 gigawatt hours, so about what the original gigafactory had when it came online. And it's got potential expansion. If it didn't, that would be kind of foolish, wouldn't it? This will be the 3rd confirmed cell factory location for PowerCore, and the company will now have cell factories in Salzgitter, in Germany, Valencia, so Germany, Spain, and Ontario. Really? So Canada. There you go. Let's go to 7-Eleven. All right, so 7Charge is the 7-Eleven of the future. Ambitious EV fast charging network and a new app. I mean, what's more convenient than, well lit 24-hour places you can charge that have some food and a clean restroom? Well, a restroom, I should say. Clean this is up to the franchisee. It's good. Good on them. World wouldn't be the same without coffee cups, coffee and to-go cups, self-serve fountain sodas, and 24-hour service. All 7-Elevens first. That's true. That's a good point, because they were 7 to 11, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. I've done a couple of long road trips in my Model Y long range recently. I've noted several gas station and convenience store chains are really rolling out superchargers, Kacey's, Wawa's, Sheetz, and some others. Yeah. What's missing from some of these stops, besides a fast casual restaurant within walking distance, is an indoor table where you can eat and chill for a while. Outdoor tables are much appreciated too, and most of them do have an outdoor table, but not all. They only work in nice weather. True. The charge takes around 40 minutes. What are you charging at 90% every time? So the EV can travel cadence is a little bit more chill than. Oh, you know what? No, it can have mid range. No, it says long range. So yeah, why are you charging 90% every time? Are all on V2s? Either way. I did stop at Sheetz the other night and had the right kind of indoor table, and I was good. Hopefully 7-Eleven realizes they need to tweak the formula slightly to accommodate a new kind of customer. Good aspect this week on Circle K getting serious about charging. Is that the US Circle K or the European one? Because Kyle, man, I can't keep up with his travels. I'd like to tag along a couple times. I did for one of them. Anyway, that is good, and I like that these folks are listening to not just Kyle's input, but what we tell him, and he carries that forward, and they listen and they adjust, and with all of his charging. Oh, good, it is here. Sweet. That means we get to see it firsthand. I'll check that video out probably later in the week. I got some stuff besides lunch going on after this. So 7-Eleven operates franchises and licenses one of the largest convenience store networks across North America, 13,000 plus. offering fast charging makes complete sense from a business standpoint. Also, they are, I believe they moved to Thailand, right? 7-Eleven's from Thailand now, right? 7-Eleven is out of Thailand now, right? 11. They bought the U.S. company. Yeah, she says yes. So they started here, and they're not us anymore. North Carolina, great. That's not too far for me to travel to go check it out. Next up, we've got Tesla Giga Berlin has reached a production milestone of 5,000 cars per week. Someone suggested that this is doctored image. It probably is. However, Tesla also tweeted this, so whether that image is doctored or not, the news is still true. Giga Berlin hits 5,000 builds per week, 1 year after delivering the first vehicles to customers, and 1 month after delivering 4,000 cars per week. That's incredible. I bet you this is going to be noisy, but I'm going to try it anyway. Yeah, so February it increased to 4,000 per week, and now before the end of March, they're at 5,000 per week. So Giga Berlin could be at over 260,000 cars by itself. Yeah. I told you to have music. And so there's a Model Y they're following through the production line. I guess that was the filling. That was kind of cool. Yay! Okay, that's not doctored. That's from Tesla. So I guess the other image that was floating around with the announcement was doctored. Congrats to Tesla, and hopefully Ford is paying attention so they can get their 600,000. They'll need it. How many did we say that Giga Berlin's going to be doing there? 260,000. So they just need 2 of those. Huh? Okay. And so I want to thank everybody for spending your weekend with me, and thank our channel members and sponsors, and everybody who clicked that like button. And we'll catch you on the flip side. As soon as I find the button.